Hey, Allie, did you get your sit in this week? How about your hit? How about some plyometrics? What's your 1 RM max on your bench press?
Whoa, 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 Shauna, you are speaking, first of all, a different language. Like, what is this stuff you're even talking about? And I'm just a little overwhelmed. I'm going to be honest.
Well, I think that's the problem. There's so much information out there that people are getting overwhelmed and demotivated. And that is the topic of today's episode.
And before we dive in, we want to give a shout out to a Girls Talk Healthy Aging listener, Miss Karen Coleman. Thanks for listening. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
Shawna, I've been in my DMs and my Facebook account, and I got this message from this gal that just broke my heart. And I wanted to know if you had heard anything or had anyone ask you a question like this. So she told me she was actually getting depressed reading all the social media stuff about fitness. And so she quit. And she just had a procedure done, is doing great from having the gastric sleeve, but needs to focus on she wants to focus on her belly area. She says she has a FUBA. She also wants to focus on her wings, under her arms, and her hips and thighs. And her question, she wanted to know, how do I get started?
Yeah. I think that there's just so much information out there. Everyone is experiencing information overload, and it's well-meaning coaches and even doctors are providing information, and then people are just overwhelmed, and like that's the last thing you want your client or potential client to do is just say, well, I quit.
Yeah. And I think that we have to look at that. Why is that? What is it that's so overwhelming that's being put out on social media? Because she did not specify in particular, but she did ask me for some tips. And one of the things that I said to her that we talked about that I recommended is that she keep it simple and keep it easy. And so I'm gathering from her that one of the challenges is she sees so many different people doing so many different methods, and it's really confusing as to well, which one of these do I do and what's going to work for me. Or I see these people doing stuff, and if I haven't been working out, I'm not going to be able to do that. What I see this influencer doing
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, my clients and I we meet every week, and we had a group call regarding Dr. Stacy Sims' latest fitness protocol, which I love her, evidence-based doctor. Like, she explains mechanisms and what's going on and why we should be doing some of the things that she recommends. But my clients came away from that, listening to what that protocol was, to feeling just like, I'm not doing enough. I might as well quit, because I am like, how can I do all those things? And I agree with you that while I appreciate, like, Dr. Peter Attia, he has a great fitness protocol as well, in terms of what he feels is like the ideal fitness protocol for positive aging. And this was very much what Dr. Stacy Sims was talking about. But then it lands so differently, where clients or people just are like, well, I'm not doing any of that, so I'm not going to do anything, rather than taking the all or something approach.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I see happening that always frustrates me and just kind of makes me a little squirm and want to just maybe scream a little inside is I see people that post, and I know we all do this, like in search of on the social media, in search of someone to cut my grass or whatever, and you find great people that way. One of the things when I see people putting, like, asking for specific fitness advice, and it's either one or two things. It's people that also are not working out that maybe chime in and give advice that is not necessarily the best advice, Or maybe it's trainers that chime in and they're speaking this language that's like a foreign language in their response, in our response as trainers. And so I guess one lesson would be, don't ask on Facebook or Instagram for fitness advice, maybe. But what people, I guess we don't know where to go. And sometimes that's just kind of an easy place to start. I also noticed that a lot of times people don't answer the question in the comments. Like, let's say I ask, hey, I'm looking for a new gym to work out that's in ABC city that offers strength training. And instead of answering and giving me the ABC, if there's an ABC gym in my city that offers strength training, I get all these other comments from people that say, well, why don't you come over here to, EFG gym? And I know we do this, not what you asked about, but we do this, this, and this, and it's amazing and wonderful. Or they say, well, what I'm doing is I'm eating carrots twice a day. And, that's what I'm doing for my plan, instead of answering providing the actual resources and help for us. So there's a lot that can be really disheartening and make people it just made me so sad when she said that she just had given up and wanted to quit. But I think that that's more common than we realize.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, like you said, keeping it simple is the best advice for starters, because, when you look at some of the, for example, the Peter Attia or Stacy Sims protocol, they're talking about resistance training and percentage of load and HIIT and sit and plyometrics and
all these words and terms and
and all those
making
things.
My mind smoke, even as a trainer.
Yeah, all those things are valid and important. But then if you don't have someone or a filter, that a trusted source to kind of sift or filter that through and have a discussion about, and then you just take that, you could just misapply or mishear or misinterpret, or just be overwhelmed and say, to heck with it, I'm not doing anything. And then you're not even getting steps in. Like, for example, Dr. Sims said, don't worry about cardio. You don't need to do cardio. But there's so much nuance in what she was saying. She was saying, yes, cardio is important, but you can achieve that through sit and HIIT. But you have to do those protocols correctly to be benefiting from that. And so there was a lot of unpacking. We spent over an hour just talking about some of the terms. So I think it's really important that if you are overwhelmed or demotivated, to find a trusted source. And as much as the interwebs is a wonderful place, I think sometimes we forget that we can just go talk to a person, and then we can do some of our own checking, but like a person is like pretty important to to filter things through. And I think, is that the client that has been reaching out to you, or the person that's been reaching out to you for over 10 years?
So this person, I've had big gaps in between conversations, but so these struggles have been going on for over 10 years, and she's not a client of mine. This is someone who does not live near me, but someone that I know. And she's reached out to me very periodically, in big gaps in between, throughout a 10-year span of working on or wanting to figure out what to do.
Yeah, because I think, everybody wants to be more healthy, but you'd think in the information age that with all the available information, it seems that people are more confused than ever. Yeah. So what would be your best advice for Mrs. Jones, who, like that person that you described, is more confused than ever in terms of nutrition, in terms of fitness? What would be the big rocks that you would tell Mrs. Jones to focus on?
Yeah, and I did send her some tips, but I do want to, before we get into that, I don't want us to throw out terms that people don't know what they mean into this podcast. So if we're going to
Yeah.
talk about sit and hit, can we tell folks what, not that we're saying that they need to do them, but I just don't want to confuse people even more.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, when I was mentioning about Dr. Stacy Sims, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sit is sprint interval training. HIT is high intensity interval training. Plyometrics is jump training. Resistance training can be body weight or weight training. Those were the
Yeah.
terms that she was talking about. But when we make our suggestions, we will be a little more clear.
Clear. Yeah. So the tips that I gave this gal, she asked if you have any tips, and I said, yes, I do. I said, the first one is keep it simple. The second one, start where you are. The third one, set crazy easy goals for yourself. The fourth one, take it at a pace that works for you. The next one, ignore 99.9% of what others say about do this or do that specifically, especially on social media. And last but not least, have fun with it. Life is too short to be miserable. Those were my tips.
Yeah, I think those are great big picture tips in terms of attitude that you have to bring to this. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I just need to do something for 6 weeks or a month or until my holiday or something. But your tips are specifically things that you could do lifelong. Like you want to have that attitude towards your health lifelong, because it really is a lifelong, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it shouldn't feel like too much effort, because if it feels like too much effort, what you're doing is too much. So I think I would add to that. I don't know, did you say start small?
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
asked her after that, is she currently doing anything for exercise, like walking consistently? And she said, no, but I am moving around more. But we don't know what that means and
Yeah.
what that looks like, and way more active. But then she said, should I start out by walking? And if so, how far?
Yeah.
And so, I said, yes, walking is moving, and moving motion is lotion for your body. Start with walking to the mailbox
Yeah.
and take, again, baby steps add up.
Yeah.
And then I asked her about, does she have any joint limiting movements? And I told her, you want to build confidence in moving your body. The babier the step, the better, because you build from that place of accomplishment. And then you get, once you
Yeah.
start accomplishing one thing, it's easier to build on. And I think that's where it gets so overwhelming is if I'm someone who is not active at all, which is what I'm going to read into this, that she is not, this is not someone that I've seen. She's like, I wish you lived closer, but we're not in the same town. So, I'm just gathering from this that she's been very inactive. And so that's, I didn't even ask her how far her mailbox is. That could be a mile down the road. It might be too far.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things when you and I know when we work with clients, like we really get specific with them on their life, their environment, what they have been doing, and how do we start them from ground zero if that's where they are,
Yeah.
and then move them one step, 1 inch forward at a time instead of course, we want results fast. However, there's just not a way that it's going to work out well typically if we are going from 0 to 60 and our body is not prepared to do what these protocols are, or sit or hit or these fancy words or using the overload principle in your weight training, which is
80%
another.
of 1 RM. Yeah.
All these terms that just
Yeah.
really, then people are having to Google to see what is a 1 REM repetition.
Yeah.
When you do, how many times can you lift something one time?
Yeah.
And the principle of overload just means that you're basically challenging yourself when you work out so that you can get stronger. But that doesn't look the same for you or me or Miss Jones over here. And so,
well, that is the problem of, it's like taking somebody else's prescription medicine. When you just take some kind of online protocol or program and just apply it to yourself. There are some common sense things that say, okay, I can manage this aspect of it, but you don't know what you don't know. And so whether it's fitness, nutrition, it really is important to get some outside eyes, because you wouldn't write your own prescription. You're not a medical doctor. You wouldn't decide, go into a pharmacy and say, well, I'll take one of those, and Betty over here has 3 of these, so I'm going to take 3 of these. And so you really need to put some, well, because the point is if you don't want to waste time, energy, risk injury, setbacks, the straightest line to your goal is a straight line. So don't be doing all this zigzagging of, I'm going to do her program. Oh, now I'm going to try this program. It's funny how people are somewhat reluctant to seek the personal advice that would get them to their goal a little faster, because it's going to be slow even when you have the right prescription, nutrition, fitness. So it really is worthwhile to find that trusted person. And it's not that you have to be with that person forever. A good professional is going to teach you to fish, not just give you the fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so disheartening when you realize that this gal, and this is so true for so many that I know, that you see, that I see, that this is a 10-year conversation that she and I have been having, a 10-year conversation. And during that 10 years, it does look like she did hire someone at some point. And that can be, I would say, don't give up. If you hire someone as a coach and that just does not work out, don't give up and think that every coach is the same. You really want to, even finding the right kind of coach that is, close to, someone in your same age range can be good. Someone of the same sex might be a good idea. I'm not saying these are the only ways to go, because you might find a great coach that is in a different bucket, different boat than you. And also, she has done the gastric sleeve. She's done different things. So there's, we tend to invest in things. I see people, like you said, trying this program, trying that program, investing in this and investing in that. But if we would more quickly seek expert help, how much better off would we be, and how much less time, money, energy would we not waste? And how much, think about, and just like that, I want to quit, the frustration, I hear she even used the word depression from all that's how tough we make it on ourselves. And sometimes I think it can be because we think it has to be more complicated than it is. I know when I work with ladies on nutrition, I give them a very simple format thing that I've designed called Fix My Food, where you get a balanced protein, balanced carb at every meal, but they always want to complicate it. People always want to make something simple more complicated, and we don't have to do that.
And you know why that is, Alli, is because of sales. Because, I talk about how both our programs would be, we don't have sizzle. Right. We don't have buzzwords. We don't have a hook. We have a take your time, make it simple, eat protein, don't buy fancy supplements. It's not going to happen overnight. This is not sexy talk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we make it more complicated by chasing the sexy talk. Oh, don't I have to do it this way? And don't I have to stand on one leg and hold my breath this way and lean my head to the right in order for it to work? Don't I have to do it that way?
Well, that's because people that are a bit unscrupulous they don't want to sell because what we sell, which is education, common sense that's not common, take your time, all those educational principles that aren't sexy. Those people that are marketing, and you and I have learned all this.
Marketing, the quick cure,
quick fix. Yes, I have the secret. So I think that's the biggest red flag that I would suggest people be looking for, is I have a diet that's named after the person, or something proprietary. Because trust me, like dieting has been around for hundreds, thousands of years. And if science, like if you have like this special herb or some kind of special scientific process that most scientists haven't heard about, it's
No.
because it's made up.
Yeah.
It's not real.
And I think it's hard for us because we've done, and I would suggest going back and listening to several episodes. We did 2 on weight loss scams, supplement
Yes.
scams. So go back and listen to those episodes. Those are early on episodes in the
Yeah.
single digits. I don't have the numbers for those episodes. The NEAT episode, which is talks
Yes.
about fat loss and how to do it and keep it so simple. It's hard for us to believe that people would just simply make things up. And a lot
Yeah.
of times people do it in the sense of, I need to get these people in the program so that I can give them the real information and really help them. But I've got to hook them to get them into the program, to get them in the door. And so I've got to make it jazzy and sound like it's a quick solution that nobody else has, that it's new, it's exciting, it's going to, give them magic results. And then once I get them in, then I can teach them and educate them. That's kind of the mindset that
Well,
some
some
folks
do
have.
adopt that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
And then
I
there's
don't,
some that are just taking your money. I
yes.
mean, I
Yes.
hate to say that, but
Yeah.
they're just taking, I mean, that really is the most important thing, is that they get your credit
They
card
just,
number.
yeah, and it might be $15.
Yep.
It might
And it's
not be
very,
1,500. But when you
yep.
spend $15 on this product or service and $15 on that, and it's like it just takes
And
away from the
yeah,
real work. And the
and
real
your
work,
time and energy and your just mindset of
yeah,
getting frustrated that you're 10 years later still in this
still
struggle.
still asking the same questions, still being confused. And I do feel, I feel for that lady. I feel for my clients that are, asking questions about, well, is this actually true? How do you figure these
Hmm.
things out? So I think one way is to find somebody that's a trusted source with years of education and experience that can kind of weed through. And I think also a good answer from an expert is also, I don't know.
Hmm.
Because anytime somebody claims to know everything about everything is probably a red
Run.
flag. Yeah. But
Yeah.
a question like an answer such as I don't know, but I'll find out, or because for example, you and I both have resources. If I don't know an answer, I go to doctor friends that I have or colleagues or other colleagues. We're probably better equipped at reading scientific studies, although that's still not my forte.
Sure.
But some of my colleagues, I will go to them. So I think having conversation is really important. Finding someone that you can have that conversation with, and just not comparing yourself to other people, your progress to other people, or just assuming that what Betty did is going to work for me because I'm coming from different genetics, different body composition, different nutritional history, different physical capabilities, and everything is different. Even though, standing next to Betty, I might look like, oh, we're both women that are 45.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that one of the things that we have to or that would serve us well, is to realize that starting simple and easy and not making it overcomplicated, it works. It doesn't have to be, I have to
Yeah.
do these 10 points. And so, I think that, my advice is, if you're not walking, if you're not doing the basic, just moving, if you're sitting at a desk a lot, start with just moving more. Like
Yeah.
that, definitely go back and listen to the episode on NEAT, because one of the things that I see that folks struggle with, even if they're working out and even if they're working out with me, is some of us, we spend so much time sitting that even if we're working out a few days a week, it's not enough to overcome the hours and hours and hours and hours we're spending on our bouteilles
Yeah.
sitting and not moving. And so the simple things, that would be one of my biggest things to start with, is track your steps if you're not, or
Yeah.
just simply start tracking how, like, I'm going to go walk for 5 minutes. And don't go for a mile if you haven't been walking. Don't go out and do 5 miles. Don't go out and do a mile. Like, literally, if your mailbox is just a few feet from your house, that can be a great, if you're not doing that, then that is an amazing place to start. And we have trouble with that. We have trouble wrapping our minds around that is good enough. And not only is it good enough, it's amazing to get up out of my chair and go walk to my mailbox, because something, like you said, something is better than nothing. And it's something that I haven't been doing. I can accomplish it. I can easily accomplish it. So I'm not setting some lofty goal that I'm going to be depressed and upset about or feel bad about because I couldn't do, or my body broke down when I tried to do it. I'm going to be able to get up, go do that, come back, and then I still have some energy and I have energy, one, because now I'm proud of myself. I achieved something. No matter how simple it was, I achieved it. And we feel better mentally and physically in our spirits when we do something like that, no matter how tiny it is.
Well, and
Tinier the better.
I always talk about how change happens when we're feeling good about the change. And so if we set a goal, for example, I'm going to do 10,000 steps. And I had one client that was working from home, was getting less than 1,000 steps a day. Well, for her to get 10,000 steps, that is an unreasonable goal. And she is just going to feel like a failure. So I told her, if you can get over 1,000 steps, that is a win. Let's compare you to you. So as long as you're doing something a little more or a little more dialed in today than you were yesterday, we're doing the happy dance. And then as we're doing that, we're not going to be eyeballing the scale with the hopes that, okay, I did 25 more steps today, the scale should be going down.
Yeah.
Like, well, I do agree that, for some people, daily weighing helps because it helps you connect actions to results. However, when we just do all the little things, like just the small things, like I'm going to have a drink of water today. I'm going to just move a little bit more. I'm going to add a movement snack. I'm going to do 10 jumping jacks to help my bone density. Like they take tiny amounts of time, but they add up. I have one client that it's over a year ago. It was a hard no to exercise. I have no time. I have a high pressure job. She does, very high pressure. And I just snuck in like movement snacks, 10 squats after you use the toilet, do your business up and down. Like once you're dressed, 10 squats in the bathroom. Jump up and down 5 times when you're brushing your teeth. Like just small things. And nobody thinks that any of that is important because it's like, I need to run a marathon. I need to feel exhausted. I need to feel like a dish rag. I'm so wrung out after a workout. Well, that can also be counterproductive. And tiny bits of movement more often daily is going to be like 7 days a week is better than an hour exhaustion workout once a week.
Yes, I love that. And I do think that is part of our mental challenge, mental obstacle that gets in our way that we want to shift. And that is that mindset that, well, that's not enough. If I just do 5 squats or 10 squats when I'm, getting up off the toilet after, or if I do, march in place, do 10 knee marches, like that's not going to be enough. And however, and on the flip side, we don't realize if I just put a little mayo on my sandwich every day, that's going to add up. If I just, those things, it all adds up on both ends. If we're adding things that are maybe high fat, those things add up. And if we're adding little movements, if we're adding more movement, those things
adds up. Yeah. Entirely. Yeah. So I think the all or something attitude in terms, especially where movement is concerned, my clients were, when they heard about a 1RM, which is a 1 rep max, how much weight can you lift doing this particular move one time? And I said, ladies, most people are not in a position to even find out what their 1RM is. You're going to blow a knee or your back just discovering what that number is.
Yeah.
So, if
Don't,
you're,
yeah.
so it doesn't mean that that's not a valid thing. Like, of course, if you are in a situation where you can get a coach or a trainer to train you in some of those movements, and then you can do a 3x3 where you do 3 sets of 3 reps at 80% of what your 1RM is, fantastic. This is wonderful. But if you don't even know what those terms are,
Don't be trying to do it. Yeah. Don't think that you have to do something because you heard about it online. That you
correct.
need, that there's some pressure that you have to A, know what it is, or B, that you should be doing it, or that I should be doing it.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
if
I see,
you're,
even as a fitness person, I see people doing all kinds of things that I'm not doing and that I'm not going to do. And that's okay. And,
yeah, because, let's say you loved pickleball and you just keep hearing, I should resistance train, I should weight train, I should weight train. It's like, yes, that would be brilliant if you could. But if it meant you either had to pick doing the thing you loved every day and you did it regularly without a struggle, or you dragged your sorry butt once a month in for a resistance training workout because you had to do it, you're better off doing pickleball every day and enjoying it.
yeah. Yeah. We have to find, like, we just have to not overcomplicate it and keep it simple and be okay and celebrate all the things that we're doing that add up and keep building off of those. And just, my wish is, and I know we didn't talk about it, but one of my things would just be that we move more. One of my concerns with us as a society is that we sit so many hours without movement. And we do not realize, as a society as a whole, people, our listeners may realize, but as a whole, people that I see and that I talk to are just unaware of how little movement they're getting and how huge of a negative health impact, weight impact, joint impact, mental health impact, just not realizing how much that is impacting us in a negative way.
And Alli, I don't want to say people. I want to say I am including myself in this, because it dawned on me maybe in May of this year, May and June. Actually, probably because in May we went to Europe, we were getting, 20, 30,000 steps in a day. And then I compared that to what I was getting at home, which was maybe 5,000, 6,000 steps. And I thought, wow, I sit a lot. And
we all do. We all do.
Yeah.
We live in this time of, like, amazing time in our lives where we have all these conveniences and we have all this stuff online.
To our detriment.
Mm-hmm. So it is an all. We all, yes. For
and
sure.
So there are easy ways to get more movement even while working. So one of my solutions, well, my son got a dog that I dog sit 3 days a week. So that gets me a lot more steps. And I got a walking pad for my desk. You use your bike at your desk. There's simple tasks that I can be doing on my walking pad. Or if I check, like last night, my minimum is 7,000 steps. It was 9:00 last night. It was one of those days that I just, was busy, but it's like I checked my watch. I'm like, oh man, I'm only at 5,000 steps. But I do like to watch a show or listen to a book before bed. So it's like, well, I guess I'm walking on my walking pad for 2,000 steps, 20 minutes, which is also great for insulin sensitivity, increasing that after a meal. So it's like, it was long after a meal, but I went to bed feeling accomplished because, like, well, I didn't get to 10, but so my goal is to do a little bit of walking, either with the dog or on my walking pad, or just more movement. So even as a fitness professional,
we have to work
all into the house. I work out every day. I either train or I swim, but that's not enough.
For you and for what your goals are. Now, for someone else, if they were doing your amount of movement, that would be amazing. And so it really is specific.
It's exactly. Yeah, I don't want anyone.
Doing.
I don't want anyone to be like, oh my God, I'm not getting 7,000. I'm not getting 10,000 steps. No, that's me. That's what I've set for myself. And so it's something very personal that whatever you're doing, just take a look at it.
And the fact that you're making, and you are taking a look at it, and I think that that's what we have to do is be intentional. Like I'm pedaling right now, but I've been having hip issues, so I'm like have no resistance on this bike while I'm talking to you, and I'm stopping and starting when I talk. That had to be something that when we started the podcast, I wasn't doing that. And so it's funny because when we started talking about NEAT, it's like really got me thinking more.
Yeah.
So go listen to the NEAT episode because that motivated me to add in some things like biking while I'm the pedaling podcaster. And I also get on the stepper when I'm eating my protein shake in the morning. And those are just two little ways that's for me, that work for me to help me get a little bit of extra movement, because I find myself, we sit a lot.
Well, it's just so easy to be sedentary. And I find that energy begets energy. So when I am, when I'm walking and working, like, sometimes you get that mid-afternoon slump.
Yep.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I feel more energized. My mind is fresher. I have better ideas. So I think that whether you're, a walking desk isn't for everybody, or, a walking pad working at your desk isn't for everybody. But even if you just got up out of your desk and went up and down the stairs or did a lap around the house, just getting up and moving is important. So, so Alli, if you had a wish, what would your wish be for our listeners today?
That we don't overcomplicate it, and we just take a step to move more today. Just even if it literally is just one step.
Yeah. And my wish is to find the right solution for you. There's no one perfect solution. Yes, there are fantastic protocols that are ideal, but that might not be ideal for you. And it's not wrong if you're not doing exactly to the letter what some expert may be saying. You have to find it's more important to find the sweet spot of what you can do for you long term than to pine away trying to do something that's, square peg in a round hole that's not going to fit.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness. And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience. Until next time, be healthy and be happy.